with us. Okay, it is 1 o'clock. We're going to call the special meeting of the Medina County Board of Commissioners to order. This meeting is to discuss an amendment to the state budget bill that impacts fiber networks and governmentally owned fiber networks. So I would first invite Mr. Corrado up.
To the podium. All right, thank you, Commissioners. Appreciate it. So we are here discussing House Bill 110, a specific amendment. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
And this is Dave Corrado.
I'm sorry. Yes, my name is Dave Corrado. I manage the Medina County Fiber Network. We're here discussing again, House Bill 110, an amendment to it, which is in the Senate floor today in the state of Ohio, which has particular verbiage which restricts operation expansion and investment into network or quasi-network, government or quasi-government networks, which are also known as municipal networks, from providing broadband services in certain areas in the state of Ohio. Basically, the definition of the broadband service follows the FCC definition of 25 meg down by 3 up. However, there is additional verbiage which does limit the municipal networks to only providing service in unserved areas after following a very long list of providing financial plans, posting the plans in the newspaper, etc. This amendment actually takes municipal networks, which have been shown in the state of Ohio to be very effective. We have seen, going back as far as the city of Wadsworth from 10, 15 years ago, the onset of CityLink, we noticed that prices reduced by 50%. Since we've brought the Medina County Fiber Network on board, we have seen at least a 50% reduction in telecom prices. But not only that, is as an open network, we've brought 14 more carriers into the area, which has definitely spurred economic development, has become extremely important from companies looking to invest in Medina County. Most recently, we have a partnership, which is a very large $50 million investment that was announced to expand into residential and small business, utilizing the current commercial backbone network. This verbiage, albeit needs some additional definition, but could impact that entire economic project, not to mention any additional service that would follow from that. So I'd like to turn this over to Bethany Dentler to discuss more of the local issues.
Thanks, Dave.
I'm Bethany Dentler, Executive Director of Medina County Economic Development Corporation, but we also serve as the administrator for the Medina County Port Authority, which, as you know, actually owns and runs the government network here in Medina County, and Dave is the CEO for that. So what is of particular concern to us is the amendment that Dave mentioned to the substitute House Bill 110, which passed out of the Ohio Senate Finance Committee yesterday and is going to be on the full Senate floor today, and is extremely likely to be approved. The language itself is embedded into the budget bill in the context of the Ohio Residential Broadband Grant Program. So it would seem that perhaps it might be limited to those kinds of opportunities. But the language of the specific amendment is very unclear in the sense that it could actually apply to any publicly owned network, which may or may not be doing residential. So that is certainly a concern. It refers to political subdivisions that have established a government-owned network may provide broadband service only to subscribers residing within unserved areas of the network. Does that mean we have to shut everything else down? I mean, it doesn't make sense. The language is very unclear. It was slipped in literally at the last minute without any public hearing, without any notice to people who may be affected. And so I think there are some things that we can do to try to cure the situation. But I think in general, just wanted to share our concerns with you that we think that the amendment would greatly inhibit the growth of the fiber network and our opportunity to extend broadband services to both commercial and residential customers who are definitely benefiting from lower prices and consumer choices. The other issue that Medina County Fiber Network faces particularly is that we're not just located in Medina County. We have extensions into Summit County and Cuyahoga County. That's where our data centers are. The amendment that's been proposed could be interpreted to mean that we can't provide services to customers in Summit and Cuyahoga. That limits our income ability, our income potential, and that could limit our ability to cover operational costs of the network. Dave mentioned our partner on the new residential fiber to the home project. You know, they're trying to extend it not just to residences, but to small businesses who are going to benefit, not just in our county, but with our backbone extending into 2 other counties, there's opportunity there for them to serve customers outside of Medina County, which brings us operational benefit. So, you know, from our perspective, I think there's a couple things we'd like to propose be done, knowing that it is very likely that the bill is going to be passed as is because we just haven't had a chance to have any say about it. I think that it's going to go to conference committee, and I think there are some things that we can do as a community, as a county, to request the legislators that are involved in the reconciliation process that we can propose a couple of things. I think first and foremost, the request should be eliminate the entire amendment. It's terrible language. If they don't want to eliminate it, then at least put it in a separate bill. Peel that out, put it in a separate bill, give us the opportunity to have public hearings, allow for testimony of people who have experience, and proper debate by all interested parties. It is not fitting for transparency in government, I think, to slip this in at the last minute. If it's not possible for either of those 2 options, I think that we should request a grandfather clause that would allow our network to continue operating and growing as we have planned. So that would grandfather in existing publicly owned networks. You know, one of the other ideas, and maybe this is more of a political thing, Steve might be able to help guide this process, but when the budget bill was first introduced, there was an opportunity to get state funding for broadband expansion. There was a clause added that eliminated funding opportunities for publicly owned networks. We, kicked a fuss about that, and that still got passed by the House. We could ask that the conference committee include that clause back in. They might say, you know what, we don't like that. We kicked it out the first time, we're going to kick this out. But if we put that among a list of other things that we request, such as grandfathering, then that may give the conference committee the chance to throw something out at least and help get us partially what we want. At the end of the day, if this does pass through the legislature, we have reached out to the governor's office to put this on their radar screen so that they're aware of the grave concerns that we have about this bill and the impact that it could have on future investment in Medina County and other publicly owned networks throughout the state. There's a lot of money out there for private networks for broadband expansion. But in communities like ours and in other areas throughout the state, there are publicly owned backbones that if a private sector network were able to partner with those backbones, they could serve a greater number of people in the state of Ohio. There are millions of dollars at stake here that Ohio could be throwing away because of this particular amendment, that some of our private partners may just look at what's going on with the state and say, you know what, it's going to cost too much money and time and trouble to fight, what this bill says. There are easy opportunities in other states. We're just going to go there. So I think it's costing, it could hurt Medina County, number one, but it's also costing the state of Ohio potential private sector investment. So I think there are a number of issues that we can raise with interested parties in Columbus, but I think this might be a start for what we would ask for.
Sure.
what possible justification could there have been to add an amendment that would so adversely affect municipal networks yet help commercial networks?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. There are private telecommunications lobbyists who are, they have the ear of some of our legislators, and I think, this makes sense. Hey, let's support private sector competition. But the truth is that government-owned networks, they fill a role that private sector telecommunications companies don't. Private sector telecoms are going for the highest return on investment. They could skip entire neighborhoods because there's not enough of a return on investment. That's where government-owned networks can come in and fill that gap. But there's a conviction among certain groups in Columbus that they think that publicly owned networks, aren't helpful and shouldn't be funded, and apparently now shouldn't even exist. And that private sector networks are the way to go, in order to encourage competition. I think they're interpreting it incorrectly, as we've proven in Wadsworth.
Will we have any help from any larger communities who are in the same circumstance we are?
I think there are other communities in the state of Ohio that are trying to expand publicly owned networks. We've got public networks in Fair Lawn. I know Summit County is working on some expansions. We have partners in Hudson, Dublin, and there's a few other communities as well. So there are other public networks in Ohio that I think are also taking a very close look at this today.
Yeah. Dave, do you have any idea how many public networks there are in Ohio?
I don't know the total number. My last count that I knew was 23. Varying sizes, from some that are small, a mile or two for connecting utilities, to other ones that have public service. I could probably find that out, though.
I would be interested to know how many other communities are in the same situation as us, because we're not the only one, and Dublin is a very large network in the city of Dublin, which is northwest of Columbus.
Yes.
And
with a growing population.
This is something that would, I would think, impact them significantly. And I want to read a couple of provisions from this bill. First off, it says that no political subdivision, which is Medina County, that has established a government-owned network, which is our network, shall provide broadband service in any part of the state outside of an unserved area of that political subdivision. So we would not only be limited to our geographic confines of Medina County, we would be limited to the quote-unquote unserved areas of Medina County.
And that's a
Yes.
problem
And
with.
there's another provision here that says a political subdivision that has established a government-owned network may provide broadband service only to subscribers residing within unserved areas of the network. So, again, those provisions would eviscerate our network and our business model for the network.
Absolutely.
Obviously, a lot of us beforehand have been in contact with our legislators, as well as what's going on. I know in my conversations, I've talked to Sharon Ray at least twice. Mark Romanchuk, our senator, is at Darrell Kick. In fact, Sharon Ray did meet with chairman of the House Finance Committee, Scott Ostlager, very much aware of this. This came as a surprise to them. He will be on the conference committee. It's basically his, and on the House side. So they're very much aware of the issue, very much concerned of the impact. Likewise, they'll be working out, and then of course conversation with Mark Romanchuk, recognizing that over the weekend is trying to, what happened will go past the Senate today, go to the House floor, non-concurrence, and then what they do then, they go ahead and appoint the conference members. And then over the weekend, they'll be working on the great number of amendments that are there. And there'll be the dealing back and forth as well as the governor's office as to what stays, what goes, whose version stays, whose version is used when they have competing items. House items that have been removed will be brought back into the budget. Some of the Senate stuff that's been added will be removed. The hope, and I absolutely agree, we need to ask for exactly what we want, which is the removal of this, and I think we ought to do a letter accordingly, and that ought to be our communication from the board. This needs to be removed, and I think only secondarily consider as a separate bill and full process. Other than that, we shouldn't bring in any other
I agree.
conditions. That just confuses it, because that's part of, the thing is, we want to take it out of this, and you want to put it in a venue where you have the opportunity to fully vet it and try to make some sense as to what is driving this. We know the culture down there is not in favor of government-owned networks, government-operated networks. That's the culture, that's the way it's been for years and years. This is basically a cartel operation. Down there, they're basically trying to make sure that they increase the costs, that they lessen the competition, and they reduce choices for residential. They want to guarantee their territory that they've got, and you'll be a prisoner of that, and they don't want to see competition. This is actually counter to the interest of increasing broadband. This is counter to the idea of decreasing costs and improving service, which even in areas that are supposedly have a good service, we know actually that many of those current entities do not have the capacity to provide, if you will, a higher end or a higher grade service, because that requires more investment. They want to make sure that they've got that. And unfortunately, competition undermines their return on the investment or the profit they will make. And they're just asking the power of government to guarantee their future profits. And I think that's absolutely wrong. We need to take a firm stand. There are a number of, like I said, our representatives are working hard on this one, and obviously we need to support them and continue that. And likewise, I know that the Ohio Development Association, Laura Price, you had communications with her, and there's another number of other entities. We think we understand where this might be coming from. They're trying to work with the senator. Good senator is working with the other senator that is responsible for this, and try to work out some kind of a compromise on this.
Who introduced this?
Yeah, who introduced it?
That's not public record. We think he'll engage in conversations with the individual. It's kind of this is one of those items where you get various amendments that show up and.
But you know, it's one thing for us not to be able to be grandfathered. Any of the communities, not just Medina, all the communities that have invested money for the betterment. It will be unbelievable if they do not grandfather us.
Well, the problem is that then you're basically giving away future freedoms of other communities to do exactly what we did, and I don't want to give up that.
Oh, I don't either.
But
I mean, for the ones that already have it, it's.
I know absolutely. There's absolutely, but that's a matter of giving up ground you don't need to, because I think on principle we have to be fighting for the principle of providing.
I agree.
Free market, providing the competition, making sure that in the areas where we have, and that's why this network was started, is because we didn't have the level of investment needed to meet the needs of this our communities, our businesses. That's why we did this, and we know that once our network was in place, they started all of a sudden to pay attention to Medina County and started investing and started improving, and it would not have occurred if we hadn't provided this. And likewise, the consequence is if we don't take this action, they'll continue to dominate the market, control the prices, lower the value of the services, the capacity of the services, and make sure that residents don't have the choices that they ought to have.
And they'll continue to operate only in their selected territory so that they don't overstep their bounds, go into someone else's territory, and create competition.
And bypass streets that aren't profitable.
Yes, and we
right.
created the network to have a neutral network to foster competition and lower costs.
Electric generation had this problem in the 1920s and 30s. That's why they created the Rural Electrification Administration, because the power companies were doing the same thing, not providing power to the most rural areas.
Well, and I think there's a great deal to be said for the fact that telecommunications, fiber broadband has truly become another utility service. I mean, especially during this past year, it was critical for students to be educated, for people to work from home and stay safe, and the need for true fiber is only going to increase in the future, which makes it more like a utility, like streets or roads or electricity, and should be monitored as such, not just to allow a free for all that people are going to get taken advantage of with prices.
I think formal we literally do a letter to obviously Speaker of the House, President of the Senate, the leadership, and also those are going to be finance. Matt Dolan will more than likely, since he's chairman of finance, be involved in that committee. But likewise, be the leadership, because as I understand from also Representative Kick, he is a subcommittee chair in finance that portion of of those issues back and forth, they'll be conferring with him. The conference committee and staff will be talking to him.
This weekend?
This weekend, oh yeah.
Okay.
As to what his thoughts are. He has assured me he's going to be bringing this, even though this doesn't fall within ag and with the environmental issues that he had been a chairman of. He has risen. He's basically a junior level, if you will, in terms of leadership. So he has some more input. So that's the value. We've got some good, well-placed people that understand and are willing to share our concerns. And I think that's what we need to do is continue to talk to them.
Should we pass a formal resolution opposing it?
I'm fine with that.
I think we should, so we have
Yeah.
something officially.
Absolutely.
Official action of this board in opposition to this.
The trouble is the speed of that it really needs to go out as soon as possible.
I know they're going to be
Maybe
discussing it this weekend.
Rhonda will have it done by 1:30.
Okay, well, craft something, recess, and then we'll come back in a half hour and
Well,
pass it.
we can pass it now. I mean, well,
Well, we don't have language. We don't have an actual resolution, though, do we?
We can create the resolution.
Well, yeah, right, okay, right. Well,
But we also
the
need-
president of the board would like to proceed.
We also need a letter that goes out to the world immediately.
Well, the resolution kind of speaks for
Right,
itself,
right.
hopefully. Let's craft something quickly,
Well,
get it out there.
So we want to, and I'm not putting words in your mouth, but we want to resolve that the Board of County Commissioners from Medina County
Strongly.
strongly opposes
Right.
this amendment, and I'm not sure exactly
It's the
how
top
to
of it.
delineate.
It's-
45641?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
what you
all
refer
right.
to. And if you look in the omnibus, that's all it's referred to. We can refer to just that. And then, always make a comment about other similar sections.
Right.
That may have crept in. And this is rather voluminous when it comes to these amendments. And, LSC will be spending the weekend trying to reconcile, and obviously the conference committee will take a look, and they'll start going down their list. So at least very clearly, we're opposed to this, not only that amendment, but also that, the whole idea that we're going to restrict government-owned networks in this manner.
Right.
It's interesting in the state of Ohio that has the apples to apples program, right, for electricity and gas.
mhm.
You can pick your supplier, have it delivered over the local infrastructure. As Bethany just mentioned, telecom is as much a utility today as our water, gas, electric. So why on earth in the state of Ohio, which has this great program, which all of us have utilized for years to get the best natural gas and electric price, why are they taking another utility and not allowing that? That's exactly what the Medina County Fiber Network does. We have 14 carriers. You choose from who you want, pay what you want for the type of service, and then the Medina County Fiber Network delivers it. So it's diametrically opposed to what the state of Ohio has been doing from a utility aspect.
This is the exact kind of thing that should be a freestanding bill. It should never be added like this last minute.
Right. It should be
So
debated.
wrong.
And also, Dave, to your point about providing the services to the community, or residential community, it says that a government-owned network means a network owned or controlled by or operated in partnership with any political subdivision. So it would affect the Medina Fiber to the Home project and adversely impact the ability to roll out those services to our communities. Sure.
So Ron, you can draft. Kathy Breitenbutcher, Medina County Economic Development. I just wanted to say that for our residents that are looking at the fiber network or are on the fiber network, our team, when we started reading this, went two different directions. So part of the team went with how do we fix this and how do we make this go away and do the right thing. The rest of the team started working on how do we protect our interests and make sure that our current customers continue to get service. So I don't want anyone to think, oh, maybe we shouldn't sign up with the fiber network because, things are going on. We are working in tandem to make sure that we ensure service and that we can continue to grow the network.
Now, if I could, whenever someone indicates an interest in signing up to our fiber project, do they have to put any money down?
They do not.
So all they have to do is say, hey, when you come by my neighborhood, we'd like to sign in.
We'd like to get quotes.
Get quotes, okay.
Yeah, they don't even have to sign
So in
up.
a sense, there's really no cost to the individual to
No.
go ahead and have faith, because we're going to end up serving them. We already have a number of areas that are already being built. This legislation wouldn't stop this. We have realized that this actually wouldn't be taking effect until after July 1. So in effect, we can say as we work this out, there's no harm in go ahead and continue to obviously to sign up. In fact, the more we get people to sign up, the more we have and leverage to our
Exactly.
legislators and to the governor that ours can work, and it works well because then we have the confidence of our people in this. This is a
Absolutely.
publicly owned, operated network that allows consumers choice. And I think, if anything, hopefully, let's try to turn this in, shows that they're encouraging us and sending a message by increasing the number of people that sign up. There's no cost to you. All you have to do is sign up and say you're interested.
Exactly.
Okay.
And we are building, we have been running a demand aggregation tool for 2 years. So unlike previous carriers, we are building to areas that show demand. So as we take our blueprint, we are adding streets. As long as the people on that street would sign up, we will build to them. And already in 2 months, we've already added 9 streets, where the entire street has come out that said the current carrier does not meet our needs, and we will all sign up if you come down there, and we have added to our design to build into those neighborhoods.
And Dave, you're talking specifically about fiber to the home.
Fiber to the home.
Absolutely.
I think there's certain people probably watching this representing Armstrong and Spectrum won't like this, but basically it sends the message is, I'm tired of paying more and having less and seeing my bills go up continually. I want another choice. And that's the message they'll send by signing up with us.
Correct.
And as a fully redundant network, we don't go down.
Yeah.
So,
Dave, the base fiber is in Seville and is completed in Westfield. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So when will they start actual connecting homes to the network?
Equipment starts going in on the backbone next week. We're targeting first customers July 15th.
Okay. So it's coming very quickly.
Good.
good, thank you.
So do you want to make a motion?
Well, I move we adopt a resolution, I'll just say, urging the legislature as well as the governor, we'll say the legislature to remove that, the aforementioned amendment, as well as any other language within
The budget bill?
the House Bill House Bill 110, and encourage likewise that any such further legislation ought to be considered separately. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
I think we should add strongly opposed to.
Strongly opposed? I'm
good with that.
Work along.
I will second.
Vehemently?
Emotionally,
I second.
Second?
without reservation.
Do we have any further discussion? We're good?
Okay.
Roll call?
Hambley?
Yes,
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
and we'll continue
All right.
working with everybody on the
Yes.
legislative.
So call your state senator, Mark Romanchuk, and Sharon Ray, our state representative, and
Daryl Kick.
Daryl Kick, yes, and make sure that you voice your opinions.
Let them know.
Yes. All right. Anything else? Motion adjourned?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call?
Hambley?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you next Tuesday.